take a little step. Just take the first step. Because if you're so overwhelmed about all the things you have to do in God, you'll never do any of them. Now, one of the series that we're doing on Friday night, we do different ones on Sunday and different ones on Friday. One of the series that I'm doing on Friday and that we rotate with is this linked to this awesome psalm that happens to be filled with the secrets of living a life of God's will, His blessings, His abundance. It contains things like, this is the psalm that contains things like, don't worry about anything. Don't worry about those who do evil. Trust in the Lord and do good. Delight yourself in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart. Commit your ways to the Lord. Trust in Him, and He will do it. And has all these incredible things. You just take one verse and do a whole thing. So we've been looking at these keys, and I've shared a message of those keys so far. And now we go to the next one. And that is where we are, Psalm 37, verse 11. Very simple. But the meek shall inherit the earth and delight themselves in the abundance of peace. Now, this is especially cool because it just so happens that that's very familiar to you no matter what, because Messiah quoted from it when He did the Sermon on the Mount. And He said, blessed are the meek, for what? They shall inherit the earth. Well, that's from right here. Right here. The context of this is, it says, don't worry about those who are doing evil. We tend to worry about it. It says, don't worry about that. And it goes on, and then it goes on saying, listen, the meek or the humble will inherit the earth. The humble will. Now, what is that about? Now, my main thing I'm going to talk about tonight is what it means to be an heir, to inherit, to be an heir of God, which is crucial. But before that, it's talking about the humble. So let's talk about a little bit about humility. It says in Numbers 12:3, it says, Moses was the meekest man on earth, the most humble man. Now, who wrote that? Moses did. Still, it's true. He was being real. Moses was humble. What is humble? Well, you see, you think of humble, somebody who's quiet. But humble, this is Moses, okay? So it says Moses was humble. Let me tell you what humble is not. Humility is not hating yourself. Hating yourself is not only it's not humility, it's not of God. Humility is not so much a heart that is focused on how bad it is. It's a heart that is focused on how great God is. Moses was strong. He was an authority. He was decisive. He was a leader, yet he was humble before God. He lived a life that was knowing the presence of God. He's the one who was in God's presence. It says in Psalm 22, verse 26, the meek or the humble shall eat and be satisfied. The Bible speaks about the blessings of being humble. The blessings of being humble. See, if you're looking at yourself all the time, that's not humility. If you're looking at God all the time, that is humility because you're looking up. Your attitude is one that's looking up. That's a humble attitude. The Bible speaks continually about the blessings of it. What are the blessings of being humble? Humility. One, you're not distracted with yourself. You're not bound up by the limitations of yourself because you're not focusing on yourself. You're focusing on God. You see, when you're looking down, when you judge people, you're not humble. When you judge people, you're looking down. You're looking down on them. When you're looking up, you can't judge anybody. When you're looking at God, you're not judging anybody. You understand? So that's the difference. And so, might think that, well, if I'm hating myself, then I'm humble. No, you're just judging yourself, and you're focused on yourself, and that is no better than lifting yourself up, because you're both people who do that, those who lift themselves up, those who tear themselves down, are not looking at God. And when you're judging others all the time, remember, you have that same voice in your own life. You're going to judge yourself. It's going to be hard to live with yourself. So, the Bible says, judge not, lest you be judged. Well, that's about Judgment Day, but there's another application, because in the way you judge, even the way you judge others, it's going to come back to you even in this life. So Messiah said, come to me, all who are weary and burdened down. My yoke is easy. I am humble of heart. In other words, When you are humble, one of the blessings of being humble is that you're not carrying the weight of the world. When you're humble, your yoke is light. When you are filled with yourself, your yoke is heavy. The Hebrew word for glory is the word kavod. Try it, kavod. That's a good thing. But when you glorify yourself, the word kavod also means heavy, weighed down. So when you're focused on yourself, you get heavier and heavier and heavier. When you let go, you lose yourself in God, you get lighter and lighter. And there's a cosmic force. Of course, it's the hand of God, but it's the way he also wove the creation together. And that is that the more prideful someone is, the more they're going to be cast down. I mean, it may not happen at the moment, it's going to happen. If you see somebody who's boasting, you feel like this person is just going to fall. The humble, there's a force that lifts up the humble and casts down the pride. The more prideful you are, the more you are apt to fall. Pride goes before a fall. But the more humble you are, the more protected you are against falling. Richard Wurmbrand, who was in prison for his faith in Romania, said the strongest people, the communists tortured the believers, they tried to break them. He said the strongest people were those who were the most humble. They're the ones who lasted, who could withstand anything. Now it says here, the meek shall, in Psalm 22 it says, the meek shall eat and be satisfied. Here it says, the humble shall inherit the earth. Now there's a word in Hebrew, you don't have to know Hebrew to know, there's a letter in Hebrew that follows when it says the meek shall, the letter that follows is the letter Y. When it says the meek, and then you got the letter Y, or the Hebrew yud. Say yud. Yud. When Jesus said, not one jot shall pass, he was saying in Hebrew, not one yud will pass. Smallest letter. But the next word after it says the meek is this word, is this letter yud. When you have a yud at the beginning or a Y at the beginning of a Hebrew word like this, it means that it's talking about the future. There's a promise here. And what it's saying is that if you are the humble in God, there will always be a promise, there will be a future, there will be blessing. Humble yourself, you will be blessed in God. You're worrying about the future, you're worrying about, the Bible says that there's a blessing for those who are in his will. The yud, the little thing about the yud is just like, it looks like an apostrophe. It's the smallest letter of the Hebrew alphabet. Just apostrophe. That's it. But it's interesting because this little apostasy begins some of the biggest words in Hebrew, the most important words. For instance, Yeshua, Jesus, yud. God, Jehovah, Yahweh, yud. Israel, Yisrael, yud. I mean, all these things, yud. Jerusalem, yud. All the J's are really Y's. What's that telling you? The smallest letter, the yud, actually begins some of the most important things in God. And there's a little thing you can get from that, very important. And that is, the greatest things in your life begin with the smallest strokes. Meaning, you have a life to live. Take a little step. Just take the first step. Because if you're so overwhelmed about all the things you have to do in God, you'll never do any of them. But if today you can just take the little thing, let me take a step towards that right now. Take a little step, and it's going to lead up to another step, and it's going to lead up to a whole life of change. It begins with a yud, begins with a little thing there.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Cahn, and I hope you were blessed with the video. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and tap the bell icon so you're notified every time a new video is posted. Feel free to share your reactions with your comments and how you were blessed, and share this video with your friends. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.